What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the window Tesla stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and break down the key zones for Tesla, because tomorrow is going to be an absolutely massive day for the markets as the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is speaking once again. I'm also going to break down what the data is showing for Tesla as well, what are institutions doing, and I'm also going to break down some major tweets from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Elon Musk, as he has some major updates for Tesla coming out. Before I break anything down about Elon Musk, before I talk about what's going on with Tesla's share price, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, out of these 12 free stocks, one of them could be a free Apple share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 9 days. So please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So Tesla's currently up over 3% at the time I'm recording this. It is pushing to that 284 level, or very, very close to that. We are getting a pretty nice move right now for the whole market, as the Fed Vice Chairwoman, if you want to call her that, Brainerd, she was actually saying some very big things about the market. We also had Apple unveiling some big things. So we did see a lot of things that caused the market to push up a bit, but I'm not necessarily super, how should I say, fixated on this move just yet, because I do have some important things to warn you guys about. And also we have Powell speaking, and things could change in an instant, because we saw that happen last time. But anyways, the Fed Vice Chairwoman, Brainerd, she ended up talking about the fact that we are in this for the long as long as it takes to stop inflation. So she is working very hard to really keep it down. That's her main priority. And the market did respond positively to this, because she wasn't necessarily that hawkish in her policy remarks. Now, this could change though, because we have Powell speaking at 9:10 a.m. Eastern time. So right before the market opens, Powell is going to be speaking, and the direction the market goes in could be very, very dictated by what he actually says. Now, the last time he spoke, all right, the market actually took a huge hit. I'm sure you guys remember that. But remember, 90% of the time when he does speak, the market rallies. So it really depends on what he says, the direction we end up going in, and that's really what I can actually tell you. Now, what is he actually going to say? It's a little bit more likely he's going to talk about tightening on policy, the Fed being a little bit more strict, because he doesn't really have a choice at this point. The market is just not as great as some people think it really is. Inflation is still relatively high as we're close to the end of the year. The Fed may have to be more hawkish and more strict on their policies. It's just a repeat of things mentioned from before. So if he is very hawkish, he ends up being very strict and ends up saying things that the Fed is willing to be aggressive, the market could take a big hit, and this will drag Tesla down. Now, if he doesn't say those things, if he hypothetically ends up saying that, oh, everything's going to be okay, like how he typically does, the market could actually continue to rally or even push up a little bit more from there. So let's actually talk about some key levels on SPY and Tesla, just to give you guys a good understanding of each. Right now, if you look at Tesla's overall market cap, still relatively high, and going down right here, high correlation between the SPY and Tesla. We can see an increase in their price pairs ratio. And if we look at some dark pool data, we can see right here, the price versus the short volume percentage is actually dropping right now. So those who are bulls right now are gaining the edge. The short volume is a lot lower than before. And that's actually a pretty decent sign for nice moves right over there. The only thing that I'm not too happy about for Tesla and the overall market with SPY and NASDAQ would be the volume. As of right now, Tesla's volume is still pretty low. It's not like extremely low, but it's also not extremely high either, despite the big move we made. So that is a little bit concerning, not extremely concerning, but it is something just worth noting. Now, as far as Tesla goes, we are trying to push towards that 284 level, getting kind of close to that. We're still pushing up to the upside just like that. You can see this very nice 1348 EMA cross right here that actually continued to push us up as well, as we were well above the 200 EMA. But the question is, will we continue for tomorrow? And the easiest answer for that is it really depends on what Powell ends up saying. So let's actually talk about the SPY. What is SPY doing right now? Well, the SPY is trying to push. It peaked at 398.59. It could go a little bit higher. We could actually run as high as that 400 to 401 range. Very possible. But remember what happened over the last couple of days. Now, we came down very hard a couple of days ago. the very beginning of September to about 390. We got a huge bounce all the way up to 401.5. Then we got a big rug pull, a big drop all the way down to 388. Now we're pushing up again. So the market's like a roller coaster. It's pretty insane. But the question is, will we continue to push to the upside? I do think a push up to that 400 to 401 level is possible on SPY, but I'm not too confident we're just going to continue from there. We could get a big rejection after that as well. It's very much possible. What does this mean for Tesla? Well, if you look at Tesla's setup, right here, we formed almost like a double bottom here. We pushed up, which is pretty decent, but I wouldn't count too much on this setup just yet because it also depends on the news, what else is going on. So what I'm essentially seeing right now is Tesla's pushing up. It really wants to continue to push up to that 284 level. You can see we get lots of volume right there, but how we go depends on so many things. One of the important things I have to note right now is that we're seeing a lot of institutions still loading up on puts, shorting Tesla like crazy. Max pain for the week is still 275. And historically, at least during these downtrends, Tesla tends to close at or below max pain. Please note that for next week, max pain happens to be at 266 for Tesla, which is just another indication that the market might take a hit, believe it or not. And if you look at SPY, it's very, very similar on SPY's end. There are lots of institutions, lots of big businesses, big entrepreneurs, all of them together. They're working very hard to actually load the boat on those puts. They are still a lot more bearish overall. If you look at the overall flow from the options chain, especially using the live data, you'll notice they've been buying way more puts than calls overall, at least as of recent. If you look at overall what's going on with SPY, max pain has been adjusted temporarily. And you can see right here, we're seeing a very high puts to call ratio for Friday. It's also pretty high for next week or parts of next week. So it's just something to really keep in your mind. A lot of big, quote unquote, smart money are betting on the market going down, on Tesla and SPY coming down. So the best way for me to really talk about this is just talk about the key levels for you to watch for, because it really depends on Powell. It depends on how the market reacts to what he says. If SPY is super bullish and the whole market, including the QQQ, including the NASDAQ, they keep pushing up, Tesla's going to have resistance around that 284 range, around this range right over here. Now, if somehow Tesla does actually push above this range like this, we have the potential to go to around 288 if we push up very, very hard. Now, do I think that's possible? Yes, but is it very likely? It's a little bit less likely because of the current state and how Powell reacted last time. So there's a good chance he might actually end up talking about the Fed being more strict on policy, using open market operations to actually tighten even more. And I really believe that CPI coming out next week is going to be very telling as to what's going on with these policies, if we're actually seeing big change and whether or not inflation truly peaked, which I still think is very possible, but we'll have to wait and see what the data shows us. Now, let's just say Tesla gets a big rejection. We push to like 284 and we don't hold that for tomorrow. What should you be watching for? And the very key zone, the first one right here, is you can see a lot of chop right around this range, the high 270s to 280. I do think Tesla's going to come down here if we were to drop after Powell speaks. We're going to try to hold 280. We're going to come down to about that 278 to 277 range, just like this. Excuse me. We're going to come down here, trade basically sideways here. And if we can't hold it, I see Tesla coming even lower down to that 272 level to 270. This is another very, very key zone right over here. There's lots of room for it to come down, unfortunately. And let's just say the market's super bloody. If it's a huge hit from the market, watch for that 265 range. We actually bounced off that not that long ago. Very possible that we do test that again if things end up escalating to that degree. So please be prepared for tomorrow. I expect lots of volatility into the first few minutes of the market open. It's going to be crazy, so be ready. Powell is once again speaking at 9:10 a.m. Eastern time, so be ready. Now, with that said, I don't want to use too many technicals when it comes to my analysis right now, because we just barely made the big move and we are kind of running based off news and based off announcements. So please be ready. I want to talk about other big pieces of news as well for Tesla. Right now, we haven't seen any big major updates in China, which is why I'm not going to talk too much about that. When it comes to their lockdowns, I still hope that it doesn't escalate to the extent it did earlier this year. But I do have great pieces of news coming out, such as the fact that the Tesla Model Y earned a 5-star rating from European safety agencies. Once again, the Euro NCAP said that Tesla's Model Y is extremely safe. It's near perfect, and that's an absolutely awesome update from them, seeing the crossover SUV doing so well in these rankings. And it really shows how safe they really are on their scales. Now, Elon Musk actually talked about this in a tweet right over here. He actually retweeted this right here. They received the highest safety score of any vehicle ever tested. Once again, I'm very, very proud of them for that, and really incentivizes more and more buyers to buy these cars. Now, another major issue that Elon Musk actually replied to on his Twitter page comes from this article right over here. The article states that California raises grid emergency as blackout threats basically grow. And the reason why this is super important is because of the fact that in California, we are seeing these massive, massive heat waves. They're happening in both NorCal and SoCal. And this is so important because when we're seeing temperatures going up to like 100, 110, 115 degrees Fahrenheit, that is so high. And what's happening is the lack of power that the grids are able to actually use and utilize it's not necessarily good, because now a lot of people are experiencing blackouts as many people are using their ACs, their fans, and etc. at once. And this is leading to these blackouts that are really hurting the population. They're really hurting everyday people, whether they're young or elderly, and it's not a good thing whatsoever. So Elon Musk tweeted this right here. He mentioned that more solar plus batteries are needed. Batteries are great at dealing with peak demand. So he's basically highlighting the fact that there is a solution to the problems that we are seeing in California's grid system. And this could actually be solved by Tesla itself. That's actually implied by Elon Musk. And he does believe that batteries are a great way of dealing with this demand, especially when so many people are using devices at once. So Tesla is notorious for not just being a car company, but also energy storage. In their previous earnings report, they mentioned the fact that out of their entire revenue, a larger part of it than before actually came from Tesla Energy. And it does look like the trend is going to continue to grow. So what I essentially see is the potential for another business operation for Tesla in California, as we're seeing high demand for energy that could really be solved not just by simply making upgrades to their grid system, but actually through batteries and more energy storage mechanisms, which I think can be very lucrative and very big for the company in itself. Now, Tesla's already investing and using energy storage in different countries like Japan and other countries and parts of Texas as well. And I think this is going to be huge in California in the future, and this could be very profitable for them as well. So with that said, Elon Musk did basically reflect this and highlight this as a possibility on his Twitter page. And for the long-term future of Tesla, things are still fantastic with that news. Now, be ready for tomorrow, guys, because Powell is speaking. What Tesla does will heavily be dependent on that. And also, like I mentioned earlier, CPI is going to be very telling for the next week. So where Tesla goes really depends on Powell. I expect lots of volatility for tomorrow. And I do think that it's a little bit more likely for him to be more strict and maybe say things the market may not like. But I can't guarantee that because we do know his history. And his history, historically, he does tend to want to push the market up and keep it afloat. So it's one of those things we'll have to wait and see. Be ready for anything, remain calm, cool, and collected, and just note that the overall trend in Tesla, I mean, we did get a nice push to the upside. We could continue if things go well, but the trend overall is still kind of bearish. You can still see how we've been dropping from like this end right here. So I'd like to see how this really kind of like continues from here. The best thing to do is watch your support and resistance levels, pay attention to your indicators, and do not chase those big plays. You have to hunt for them before they actually happen. So with that said, thank you all for listening. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Be ready for tomorrow, especially early in the morning when Powell starts to speak. Be prepared, remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long-term future is bright, and peace out.